Today, Zach and I are coming at you with the fantasy and science fiction television shows and movies that we love to rewatch. Honestly, we can't get enough of these. What makes them special? Well, we'll get into that. We'll see if you agree.
Hi there! Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and talk about sci-fi, fantasy, and all the things we love. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the Father Jim. Thanks for joining us today for another fun episode where we're talking about stuff we love. This time, TV and movie content in the fantasy and science fiction genres. We hope you're going to love a lot of these things we're bringing up for you today, and therefore, you'll enjoy this episode. If you do, don't forget to hit that thumbs up like button. Help YouTube know we are worthy. Today, we are worthy. And perhaps subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. All of you return viewers, thanks for being with us. So, my son,
Yes, my
how
father.
are you this fine day?
Oh, I'm all right. We get to talk about fun, good things. It's actually a difficult topic for me because we're
Really?
talking about things that we rewatch, we enjoy over and over and over. And that's few and far between a lot of the time for me. I
Okay.
don't usually do rereads, rewatches, whatever. And part of that is I have a decent memory. And so I feel like I'm not getting a lot out of it the second time. So it has to be either things that I either really love or things that I'm rewatching because I want to show other people.
Ah, that's a fair way. And it's not painful to watch it again with somebody who's a newbie.
Mhm.
And still enjoy it. Some of the things that I'm willing to rewatch are connected to nostalgia. I just have good memories from the past, and so those good memories come back as you dive into the content again. And others are just that good. You can start to quote the lines and talk along with the movie, and there's a big fandom connected to it that you're then part of, and you just keep diving in. So there's lots of different reasons for me. Some things are worthy, but I agree with you. I don't rewatch things as much as some people do because there's so much else to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't watch as much at all anymore because there's so much to read. That trims it down. And yet, we have a list of about 20 different things that we're going to toss out here. Some of them I'm going to introduce, some Zach will. If we don't agree with each other, you'll hear about that.
If we do, you'll probably hear about that too.
Absolutely. These we're going to introduce in chronological order. So the oldest first. In some cases, these things were TV series that ran over many episodes, so we'll be introducing it where the first season came out. Some of them are movies and movie franchises. We'll still be linking it to when the first movie came out. And I'm going to do the first few because I've got the oldest ones on here.
That's not to say I haven't seen or liked some of these that are early in the list.
I hope you'll jump in with me and agree that the first one is very entertaining and quite good on a rewatch.
You're right.
That is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, all the way back from 1975. I did not watch this as a child.
No,
I got into this in college.
I watched this as a child.
Because I was a good dad. I'm trying to bring my son up right. This movie, oh my goodness, it is so hilarious. Now it's British humor, but if you get British humor, you're just dying over this thing. So much of it is so good. I just have all these lines that want to come bursting out now, but if you're a fan, you don't need to hear this again from me. Sorry. See, things just want to come out. But yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this film. And with you, and you can also quote the lines now.
I have to put Rage on blast here because I found out less than a week ago that while she's seen parts and she can quote parts of this movie, she has never seen this movie. So we're going to be fixing that relatively soon because it is an enjoyable movie. I know she'll like it. She knows she'll like it. We almost watched it the other night and just couldn't find where to watch it. And it was like, okay, we'll hold off until we can. We'll figure it out, but we'll get there. That needs to be fixed.
There are parts of that movie that she is just going to be rolling with laughter.
And part of it, she may not as much, if only because she already knows or has had parts spoiled and stuff. but I'm excited for the parts that she's not expecting that are in there that aren't necessarily as focused on in other media where people already know about it.
I'm expecting a part that she'll particularly enjoy just because of who she is and what I think she likes and thinks and stuff. The part where King Arthur is just trying to recruit people to his knights, and he gets into that deep discussion with the people who are digging in the mud, and it gets all political, philosophical, and well, you're
The
not
only
our
thing,
king, and blah blah blah. She would be entertained by that, I think.
and she will, but that's one of the things where I'm like, I'm pretty sure she already knows that one without having seen it.
All right, so that's the first one. Hope you guys agree as you're watching. But again, put your comments. The second one, Star Wars. Now, a caveat here. I am only identifying the 9 core films as what I am willing to rewatch and have rewatched many times. The original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and yes, even the sequel trilogy.
I don't include the sequels yet. I have not found myself wanting to rewatch the sequels yet.
I have rewatched them, but the sequels are the weakest of the set. You know, Star Wars Episode 1 loves the sequels. Because it's no longer the hated show anymore.
For me, I grew up with being shown the original trilogy. I grew up with the prequel trilogy coming out, so that holds a little bit of nostalgia factor for me and has some of the best in my opinion. I want to really love the sequel trilogy. I just don't.
Yeah, it is by far, I mean, much weaker than the original 6 in its story, in how much you care about the characters, in what they actually bring to the screen. It's the weakest, but it's still a connection. It's still one big story, and I enjoy that.
So what's next?
The Alien trilogy.
Interesting.
Now, there are more movies in the Alien franchise, but I'm specific to the first 3. So Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3.
It's really funny to me that you call that the trilogy, because I'm pretty sure like you own it as a box set of the first 4.
I do. Alien Resurrection.
And so it's like already it was not included as a trilogy. You just said, I only like the first 3. I'm gonna call this a trilogy.
Didn't say I only like. I like all the Alien movies, but the ones I'm willing to watch again anytime I'll enjoy these movies are the first 3. So those came out in 1979, 1986, 1992. They were great. Sigourney Weaver kicks butt in all these movies. And I particularly enjoy how there's such a shift from the first movie to the next 2. That first movie is a horror movie in space, whereas the other 2 shifts over to a space science fiction action adventure movie. And yet they carry both very, very well. So, yeah, the Alien trilogy.
They're good movies. I'm glad you showed them to me. I don't necessarily have them on my list for
Did I show those to you as a child as well?
Yes.
I think you were more like 10.
I was maybe like a preteen, but depending on where you count the line as a child, I was a child. Most movies that you showed me, someone would call me a child.
But I clearly didn't scar you. You've grown up to a fairly well-adjusted weird adult.
On the one hand, you're right. On the other hand, I enjoy reading grimdark, so maybe you did.
I've got no more. No, I have one more.
No, you've got one more before we get to my first one.
Yes, so one more to introduce, and this one, I think you're on board.
Not for rewatchability.
Really?
Nah.
The Star Trek movies, which I do own all of. So we're talking the original series Star Trek movies, then the Next Generation cast-based Star Trek movies. So the originals, those start in 1979. Then you've got 1994, TNG has its run. And then 2009, it's not really a reboot. It's in world where things just changed. And now the past is not what it was. Now it's a new timeline. And those movies, which have really been a jolt of fresh energy into Star Trek, all of them eminently rewatchable for me. Even the original series, where it was very obvious, weak movie, great movie, weak movie, great movie, weak movie. I mean, there was a cycle, but they all have something that I get a kick out of.
For me, these are sit in a place of I enjoyed seeing them. Some here and there have rewatchability for me. The newer, the reboot, continuation-y stuff, those have more rewatchability for me.
Okay.
If only because it's getting to see a more modern film technology
Sure.
version of Star Trek.
I can understand that. Far better production value now.
But for me, the rewatchability in Star Trek has never really sat in the movies.
Okay. All right. Finally, we come to one that you're going to introduce.
1987, so it's still respectably old. It's before I was born. A classic, The Princess Bride.
Inconceivable.
This is another one of those like Monty Python where it's incredibly quotable. It's a good movie. I enjoy this as potentially an easy watch. This is one of my go-to like background movies if I do just want to put something on. It's a crowd pleaser. No one's really going to be upset that I put this on. Most people will have seen it, but will be okay with it being put on. I do sit in the camp of wanting a remake. Hear me out.
Interesting.
I think every 30 to 40 years, there should be a new version of this movie that is the next generation reading the story to their kid. And the story changes a little bit based upon who's now reading the story, who the kid is that's experiencing the story, because it's all how the kid is picturing the story taking place. And so you get just little changes here and there. I think it would be really cute and really fun. And it would create a very spread out series of movies that I think would be a really cool.
This is a really horrible idea.
I think it would be a really cool history of humanity to just have down in like 300 years' time.
So I agree with you. This one is very rewatchable, but it's got a special magic that you'll never recapture. Never. I don't care who they cast or how they tweak the story. You'd never get it again. This is one I actually, for my mom, your grandmother, late in her life, I found out she'd never watched it. I was back visiting and I put it on the TV and we watched it together and she fell asleep halfway through the movie. But, you know, old people struggle to stay awake that long sometimes.
Are you having that problem nowadays?
I could never fall asleep during The Princess Bride. I can fall asleep during things, but not The Princess Bride. Oh, such a good movie. The next one is more Star Trek content, but now it's TV content.
Now I agree more.
The Star Trek that I can rewatch again and again is anything from The Next Generation, anything from Deep Space Nine, and anything from Star Trek Voyager.
Interesting.
I have the original series, and I have rewatched those, but I've rewatched those enough, including some of them that are really bad. And I have Enterprise, the prequel series. And it's just not good enough for me to want to rewatch those a bunch of times. I've watched all those episodes once and some of them a second time. And then there's the newer stuff that's coming out that I'm not, it's okay, but like I haven't finished most of those newer ones that are out there. Star Trek Discovery, I've watched some of. Star Trek Picard, fabulous, but I've only watched some of it. Star Trek Lower Decks, I haven't watched any of yet, even though I think I might be more entertained by that than some of the other newer stuff. Star Trek Brave New Worlds, haven't watched any of it yet. I just haven't got to the new stuff, and what I have watched hasn't captured what that earlier stuff that I love to rewatch did. So that's me. What about you?
Deep Space Nine and Voyager does not make my list for rewatchability for me. I might rewatch it if I was showing someone who had never seen it, but that's probably about it. The original series and Next Generation, I would rewatch those. Those have captured that whatever it is you're looking for and talking about.
Nice.
That will bring me back.
An ultimate rewatch, a guilty pleasure rewatch is the next one for me. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not the movie, the TV series that started in 1997.
Notably, Rachel would agree with you. She recently did a rewatch, and I sat in on some episodes. Didn't mind doing a rewatch, but personally, I prefer the spinoff of Angel.
Angel is good, but I'm not into rewatching Angel. I've watched it once. That was enough. I liked it, but Buffy, there was so much entertainment value in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. From the characters, from the writing, from the campy vampires. It was just good shtick. Also in 1997, starting off a 10-year run, was Stargate SG-1, which is brilliant. Now, again, it starts with a movie, And then they have the TV series. It's basically based on the premise of the movie. But the TV series was way better than the movie. Movie was good. Love the TV series. In part because the majority of the early seasons are led by the guy who played MacGyver, and now I can't pull his name out. But that star actor was fantastic in the role as he's playing Colonel O'Neill. And then the cast around him, they all just stand up to great roles. And then the show morphs over time, but as it adapts and changes, it stays good. Even when Colonel O'Neill leaves the show, it still stays good. That is hard to do when your original lead character is off the show. And it didn't even miss a beat, in my opinion. And when it finally ends after 10 seasons, I'm like, oh, because I was still enjoying the show.
Now, notably, I liked SG1. Doesn't hit my rewatchability, but I do have to break our mold a little bit here and skip ahead in time just a little bit to insert a follow-up for this that does hit my rewatchability. 2004 Stargate Atlantis.
Oh yeah, love that too.
I preferred this one. Now, part of this comes from when you first started watching SG1. I was young. You didn't let me watch it.
The first season had nudity, for one thing.
I didn't get to watch Stargate until like halfway through season 2, maybe season 3. And this wasn't a let's go back and catch Zach up. This was a, yeah, Zach can watch with us now. So I had to go back on my own to get the context later. And it was one that was fine to jump in the middle, but I wasn't quite as engaged and attached, right? Stargate Atlantis, I was there from when we started watching it together from the beginning. I loved it and kind of enjoyed it a little bit overall more. I preferred what the villains brought to the show a little bit better than what SG1 villains did. Okay. I thought the premise was cool and a little bit extra sci-fi-y rather than kind of military sci-fi-y.
Okay, true.
And so it has more rewatchability. It also is a little bit more digestible, being only 5 seasons instead of 10. Maybe I'm wrong in that, and it's like 6.
Pretty sure Atlantis ran for 10 years as well.
No, it did not. 100% did not.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
My brain said it was 5.
Oh, you're right. Only 5 seasons.
Nailed it.
Huh.
I know my rewatch show.
Of course, this is back, and we need to clarify a little bit. This is back when a season was 20 episodes, not 8. So there's a lot of content.
There are still shows that sometimes are that many episodes, but a lot of shows nowadays are 8 to 10, but maybe they're longer episodes.
Yeah, so Stargate Atlantis hit 100 episodes. Mm-hmm. Exactly 20 each year. I forgot it was only 5. But I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It started in the 7th year of Stargate SG-1, so there is some overlap
for a little bit,
and then it continues on a little beyond SG-1. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Worthy of interjecting like that. Also introduced me to Jason Momoa, one of my favorite actors from this genre. So, yeah, nice. I got the next one. It's a movie, 1999's The Matrix. I have watched The Matrix many times. Okay, before I talk more about The Matrix,
okay,
I do have to interject one other thing from Stargate SG-1. I started a new rewatch recently.
Yeah.
It's a little painful to watch on a little box now when you have this big HD ratio, and it's not, I mean, it's so old. The technology doesn't match that. Sorry, I should have said it before. But back to The Matrix, this is a big movie, so it looks great on your screen still. And The Matrix, there's a trilogy, and I think there's a 4th movie, or are they just talking about the 4th movie?
I think they made a 4th.
I haven't watched if they made the 4th. The trilogy, I own the trilogy. I have watched them all more than once, but it's the original that is the most entertaining to rewatch. The other 2 start to have issues, flaws, things that aren't as great. But that first movie, just what a premise. So novel, so well acted, so entertaining. What do you think about The Matrix?
I enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed as much as you do. I've got no problem with you having it on this list. It probably wouldn't quite make mine, even if I would rewatch it. I just don't feel the need to keep rewatching it.
Okay.
However, I'm stealing the next one on the list,
and I both agree with this.
I admit that it's stealing it because I watched these as a child because of you
in theater as a child.
This is the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. Well, I should make clear the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy starting in 2001.
It was 2001, 2002, 2003.
They made all of them together, just released them year after year after year.
What an amazing film experience.
We all know they're fantastic. So it is specifically the extended editions that I need to say here. Truthfully, it's what I grew up with. It's what I knew. I know I saw the theatrical release of at least one, if not more, of these. So I know what would have theoretically been the non-extended editions. But those are the ones I rewatched over and over and over, to the point where when the Blu-ray editions came out and they had other stuff that was added in there but didn't have some of the stuff that was in the extended, I found myself going, wait, where's this? Isn't this scene so important? Where is it? And that's when I found out and realized that's only in the extended edition. You miss out on the entirety and the impact of Boromir and Faramir's relationship without that scene.
Right?
What?
Yeah.
So I will say, sacrifice 12 hours of your time, watch all 3, and then do it again each year. I don't care. They're great.
The problem with the theatrical release is they were already significantly pushing what people could endure in a theater, because each of these movies is 3 hours long. Then you have an extended version that's 4 hours long. That's great to watch at home, and we did rewatch many times, and I have watched without you since you've left. They're fantastic. I agree with you. Yeah.
Honestly, I have to make sure that I have something that can play discs so that in 1,200 years, when you eventually die,
1,200 years.
I don't know. I'm not trying to wish
you're around that long.
I'm just not trying to wish that you die anytime soon. But ultimately, I would like those additions to me instead of my sister.
Just put that in the will, Dad. Put that.
Yeah, just outline that. I get those. I get the nice edition of The Hobbit. I mean, I'm the one who actually finished it.
So what's the next one on our list that we do both agree with as well?
Yes, we also agree the Harry Potter films. I'm going to say 8 of them. I'm not going to include the extra Wizarding World stuff that has come out since other times. This is the core story.
Just the core 8.
Starting also in 2001.
Yep. But going till 2011.
I have a personal little anecdote with this one.
I mean, you grew up with these movies.
I did grow up with them. I did very much enjoy them. For some reason, and I think it's because I was getting to an age where I was old enough to watch movies on my own, I rewatched the 4th movie, Goblet of Fire, so many times. I don't know why that was the one I rewatched so many times. I don't have a specific love for that movie over the others.
Oh, that's funny.
But while I was waiting for The Order of the Phoenix to come out, I remember sitting in your bedroom alone watching that movie over and over and over, like twice a week for a whole summer or something.
Oh, that's good.
To where there are certain series parts of the scenes you can show me just like a little screen grab of a mostly dark room from that movie, and I still will recognize that movie. It's so weird that I watched that one as many times as I did, because I don't love it more than the others. But I have. So clearly, I will rewatch those movies.
I love how these movies do a great job of bringing the Wizarding World of Harry Potter to life. Really well designed, decently acted. You've got these core child actors who are growing up through the films, but the supporting cast around them is brilliant. And these kids growing up in the movies, they were just, they were cast really well in a way that we've lost touch of. In modern adaptations, people are just driven to have to gender bend or, go intentionally trying to diversify as opposed to what the book was.
Well, I'll go a
At
step
Harry
further.
Potter's time, that wasn't what people were thinking, and they just did it like it was in the books. And
I
that's why
don't
you love them.
fully agree while agreeing. I'm agreeing with what you're saying of we've lost some of that, but it's also not everyone fits the books quite right. There are some things that are off. There are some things that missed, but we loved those adaptations and the casting so much that they have replaced what is actually described in the books. We think of those actors now instead. And there's a certain also beyond just what you've described, I think there's also a tendency for people on the other side of the spectrum to really, really, really need perfect from the book description adaptation.
Don't need that.
And that's not what we got there either. We've lost a willingness to let it be a little adaptation for the right actor.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and this is not an episode about adaptations, but there's a line. It's a very wishy-washy imaginary line, but how far can you stray while still keeping the essence? And I think a lot of modern adaptations blow way past that line. And they're like, it's an adaptation. Yeah.
In some ways, maybe we've lost both, but that is for another time. What is next?
Doesn't want to talk about Harry Potter anymore.
Well, I mean, we can. I have no interest in
I just want
Harry Potter stuff.
One more element of why I like rewatching the Harry Potter movies. I think there's a beautiful progression through the series from light and wonderful to dark and dangerous. And where it comes from that you're a wizard, Harry, to the big finish, it's just an amazing ride.
A part of me wonders if that's revisionist history for you a little bit, because the books do that and the films should have done that, but the tone of the sixth movie is really off. It's always bothered me. The tone of the sixth movie is, for most of it, a comedy. Until like the tiniest last bit. It is way too lighthearted for most of the movie, and it frustrates me to no end.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking more of the book then. But the next one we're going to talk about is the Battlestar Galactica reboot, which is now the true Battlestar Galactica, which came out with the miniseries in 2003, and then the full television series really came out in 2004. And amazing television. So much good drama, action, sci-fi-ness, brilliant actors, the tension, the grit. I know some people aren't real happy with the way it finally ended, but there was no real good way to end that story. So I accept the ending, and it works for me. But wow.
I should go back and do a rewatch of that one at some point.
You will enjoy it.
Next
What's
up,
the next one?
2004, a movie, Van Helsing. The one with Hugh Jackman.
That's a fun movie.
I liked it. It's one of the first of its kind that I really enjoyed and watched.
What do you mean by of its kind?
A little bit into the like action movie, but also a little bit leaning into the horror genre of things without being a horror movie. And to me, it held a little bit of a special place of being like one of the earlier movies that's a little darker, a little scarier, that I watched on my own for the first time.
Yeah.
I remember you told me there was a shelf of movies that I could pick from and a shelf of movies that I couldn't pick from. And this was on the shelf of movies that I could pick from.
I don't remember that.
And then you walked in, or like mom walked in partway through and went, that was on that shelf?
Yeah, your mother and I had slightly different opinions on what you could watch.
I was pretty young when I watched this one, and I probably shouldn't have.
Again, not scarred for life. I have rewatched Van Helsing. I think it's better on a rewatch.
I really enjoy it. To me, this is one that, just because of me, for my sake, I get a little bit of nostalgia feel on the watching of this as well. So I understand if it's not your rewatch, it is mine.
No, I can enjoy rewatching this. Do you remember doing the Universal Studios theme park Van Helsing exhibit? Yeah. I don't remember anything about the actual thing other than the outside of it and going in.
I remember some pieces here and there. There's some flashing lights and effects.
That makes sense.
I was pretty little.
Yeah, you were. All right, the next one I've never seen. What do you got?
It's
I've never
mine.
seen this movie.
2010. It's possibly the only animated entry on our list, and that's the 2010 How to Train Your Dragon. I think this is a beautiful story. It's very well done. It's got a great score. There's a trilogy. I think the other movies are okay and good, but the first movie is really what has some rewatch for me. It's just kind of a beautiful movie, in my opinion, that has dragons. What's wrong with
Okay.
that?
Okay. Yeah, I can't speak to this at all because I've never seen it. And like you said, animated. So I'm always less likely to go watch it if it's animated.
They're making a live action version that comes out, I believe, this year.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that. I've heard people not sure about how it's going to be.
I didn't feel like there was a need for the live action version just because I really enjoy the animated version. But I will probably see it at some point, maybe not in theaters, but once it's out. And maybe I'll let you know if it holds up well enough. Maybe I'll just tell you, go watch that one because you're not really into animated stuff.
All right, next up is one that kind of has a caveat, and that's HBO's Game of Thrones. But just the early seasons, like I'm talking the first 5 seasons, are very rewatchable. And then it starts to go downhill. This is where they ran out of the source material. They started making up their own stuff. Yes, George R. Martin was an executive producer, but he was, given some tips and guidance, but they're writing the story that makes sense to them. And it definitely goes downhill. It's not all bad, but it definitely goes downhill. And I do not like the ending at all. But I loved those early seasons of this series, and I have rewatched them, and they're still so good. Thoughts?
I don't think you're wrong. I do think you're a coward for saying just the early seasons, just the early seasons to rewatch.
Someone through season 8 even once.
I don't know. For me, if you're gonna put it on the list, then you gotta commit to all of it. So that's why I couldn't put it on the list.
You don't have to rewatch things that were cringy and bad, though. But you can still love the seasons that are good and want to rewatch those. That's why it's on the list.
It's a weird thing to sit in a place where you could say, yeah, rewatch this part over and over and over, but DNF the series.
No. I did not DNF it. If someone's going to watch the first time, they should watch all 8. And they will never have to rewatch the last few seasons. All right. The next one is a movie. It's the only thing on my list that comes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I do like a lot of those movies, and I have rewatched a lot of those movies. But the one I could watch again and again and again and still be laughing my butt off is The Avengers in 2012. Where we finally, for the first time, bring together the team. And the Hulk, man. The Hulk is the best character in the whole thing. And we've never gotten as much Hulk again. We've gotten Hulk a little bit, never gotten into the quality and level that we got in this first one. But just that, the team together and the moments that are in there cinematically that are just fantastic. Really find the Avengers entertaining.
I don't disagree with you. It's a weird thing. I struggled. I looked through the MCU and I was like, do I put in like a Captain America Winter Soldier in here? And I just felt like it didn't. It's a weird thing because they're so interconnected that I didn't feel like enough of them stood up on their own in a way that I would want to just rewatch that one over and over and over.
The original Iron Man stands up,
but it
wasn't connected to things.
Special appeal for me.
Okay,
it just is, and so I don't have any of them as things that I really would need to rewatch.
I mean, there's also the duology of Infinity War and Endgame. Those two together are very rewatchable as well.
Don't get me wrong. I like my comics. I love the MCU, even with its faults and how it's not what it once was.
Oh, goodness, no.
But I didn't pick any of the movies to have necessarily rewatchability. I have to say that specifically because the next thing on this list is technically MCU.
Now,
especially now, it both has been wrapped into
retconned into it. Yeah,
a continuation. One show started in 2015. Wow, that was hard for my brain. Daredevil. None of the
What
other
show?
Netflix shows really connected in the way that have the rewatchability that Daredevil does. But Daredevil specifically, any of the seasons I could rewatch. I'm enjoying a rewatch. Rach and I have been going through, getting ready to eventually watch Daredevil Born Again, which we have not yet, but I'm expecting enjoyable good things out of that as well. Not even one of my favorite characters from comics.
No.
But because of this show, has risen to be one of my favorite characters and storylines that's out there just because I love how this show was done so well. And I love the fight choreography.
I'm a big Marvel Comics fan. Daredevil was always out there on the fringe. Was never one of the core characters from my perspective. But yeah, that show's good. I have not rewatched it, but it's good. An MCU show that I'm looking forward to seeing? The Fantastic Four.
That's not a show, is it?
Movie, sorry.
Gotcha.
I was like the wrong word. But yes, the movie. I'm looking forward to the movie that comes out this year because we need a good Fantastic Four movie that's connected to everything else.
We had some bad ones.
Sony, we had some bad ones. We had one that was pretty good.
I did enjoy the first one.
One was pretty good. But this, I think, has a chance. They also could screw it up, but I'm hopeful. I mean, the weird part is having Dr. Doom played by the same guy who played Iron Man, and that's in the movie. How are they going to do that? Okay, let's see how that works. But I'm willing to give it a shot, and I have hope. The next one is the last one that I'm going to introduce, and then Zach's got 3 more that I'll have comments on. The Expanse, 2015. It is the latest thing I've watched that I consider, yeah, I could rewatch these episodes again and again. This show is so good. Multi-season run, starting on the Sci-Fi channel, finished on Prime Video, and just fantastic. 6 seasons. There should be more because they haven't adapted all of the books, but what they chose to adapt, they did brilliantly. So, yeah, The Expanse. What do you say, Zach?
I enjoy it. I enjoy the adaptation, partially for the fact that it isn't that big of a diverging adaptation for the most part. I don't know if I would need to rewatch it, but I do hear you and go, it is quality, and so I can understand why you would be okay watching it again.
And I have. I've watched all the episodes at least twice. Some of them I've watched a third time. All right, what do you got?
This next one for me also comes out of 2015. And it's an interesting one for me, partially because I don't hear about it from like anyone. And that's Into the Badlands.
Yeah, I've watched 1 episode.
For me, this has a lot of rewatchability purely because I love the fight sequences. All the fight choreography, the way that it is done is really impactful and cool. And I like the martial arts. I couldn't care less about, I enjoyed some of the story. I couldn't care less about the story. I just enjoy watching this. This is something that, in the same way that someone might be able to rewatch a bunch of action movies and not really care about the plot, but just love the action movie, I enjoy the fight choreography and the martial arts scene in Into the Badlands and the way that they make it more impactful. So I could watch this whenever.
All right. Well, at least I'm familiar with that one. I have seen the first episode. I'd heard things about it. I saw previews. I was like, I should try this. And the first episode just didn't grab me enough. So I didn't continue. I only have so much time. All right, what's next?
My next one, I know you've actually seen more of it than I have because I never finished it. And that's Westworld.
Yeah, you're implying I finished it.
Did you not finish it? I thought you did.
I think there's 4 seasons, and I know I watched 3. I'm not sure I finished the 4th.
The reason I thought you did was because I thought we talked about it, and you said, no, the 4th was good, and I need to get around to finishing it.
Maybe I did push on and finish it. It's been a while now.
I remember really enjoying this. Truthfully, though, the reason I think it's so rewatchable is just how well done it is.
It is really well done.
And the cinematography in this is something that I find really enjoyable. And so just the way that you flow through the film and the merging of storylines is so beautifully done that even knowing twists ahead of time now, I still would enjoy seeing it. It's something that I would just find enjoyment watching.
Now, you did realize this was a remake, right?
I'm not going to necessarily need to go watch an original source material for this.
No, you don't. This far surpasses what the original was. Yeah. All right. The last one is an interesting pick you've got. By the way, I agree with Westworld. Love watching it. That first season was amazing. And I don't think the rest of the seasons are of the same rewatchability, but they're still good.
Mm.
Okay. It's good television. But this last one,
The last one's interesting for me.
I've never finished it.
Yeah, I
I've
don't
never
think
finished the
a
movie.
lot of people are gonna find this rewatchable. I don't think a lot of people necessarily will find it finishable. I think I'm an outlier on this one. But this is 2020, the movie Tenet. I love this movie.
Yeah, I know you
so
do.
much. I think it's super well done. It moves pretty fast and has a bit of exposition, so you kind of have to pay attention. And there are concepts that are kind of confusing sometimes, and it's a non-linear story, and
So
it's
a
also
brainy
just
film.
really cool special effects wise and how it is done. And there are nuggets and pieces that you get better on a second watch, I think, as well. But it just grabbed me from the beginning. It was like, I love this. This is fantastic. I don't care if other people like this or not at this point.
But a lot
This
did.
is
It was a very successful film.
this is gonna be in my like top 10 movies of all time for me
Wow.
personally. I think I just like it that much.
Okay. The problem for me for Tenet is I tried to watch it with your mother. By halfway through the movie, she was bored. She did not care. So we turned it off. And then I've never got back to watching the rest of the movie because at the same time, it was just okay. I wasn't sucked in massively either. Now I'd have to go watch it from the beginning again. It's been too long. I don't remember what the movie was about even.
And it's fair to say some people might say I am off my rocker on this one. It's not that good. I do think it was advertised in a way that didn't necessarily reflect what it actually was in the end. But this is a horse and a hill that I will die on.
All right. All right. Well, those are what we have to share with you. TV shows and movies from fantasy and science fiction that we either collectively or individually find extremely rewatchable, have rewatched them, enjoy rewatching them, wouldn't mind going and putting it on after we're done recording and have a good time with one of these. What do you think of the list? Are there ones that you disagree? You totally would never rewatch? Are there some you've never watched the first time? More importantly, what's the ones that are your sweet ones that in fantasy or sci-fi you have rewatched again and again and you can't get enough of? Because we want to hear about it. Maybe it's something we've missed somehow. Let us know and put them down in the comment box. And any of your thoughts on any of our thoughts are welcome. I will read and I will respond. Other than that, look down in the show notes for all the other ways you can connect with Zach and I. We love hearing from you guys. Zach, you got anything else to share today?
Not today.
Then that's where we will leave you fine people. Thanks for hanging with us. Don't forget, like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next time.